this is what you would see for the most part when you enter the landing page. The one call out I'll make here is you have these tabs at the top. The one I want to call out, and I'll maybe post an individual link, is this opportunity to sign up for Racial Equity Data Hub updates. Essentially what that is our periodic newsletter. Sometimes this comes out on a monthly basis. Sometimes it will come out on a closer to a bi-monthly basis whenever we have enough of what we think is new and important to share, whether that's partner spotlights, really concise looks at the dashboards that we've gone live within that period of time, and any other kind of notifications around assets we're building, updates to be aware of, just things to stay up to date with all things that we are trying to feature on the hub. So if you click into this, it will take you to where you can sign up and all that. And that's a way to stay up to date. I want to call out to where this do no harm, doing good data means doing no harm segment is. We'll probably come back to that later. This is an important piece of the hub, but I want to focus on the general overlook of it first. So here you can navigate the page a little bit easier where you click on different things and it'll directly take you to areas on the hub. So here we are at the featured content kind of slab, and this is where you'll see the most recent, or the 3 most recent dashboards, blog posts, assets that we are have gone live with at this point. And you'll see for this is not a dashboard, but more of a what we call a picture this video from a group called Equal Opportunity Schools that is focused on access to equitable education and specifically advanced placement courses. And it's just breaking down a segment of their work, what they call the measures that matter, essentially. And you can see, like in all of these, what the summaries of the analysis will be before clicking in to get a deeper look at certain aspects of the work. Most of the time, what you'll see is these GIFs of dashboards, essentially, that are the most recent ones we've gone live with. You'll see in bold the organizations that these dashboards represent. You'll have links to where you can actually click on the corresponding blog posts that really dive in and provide more context to the issue, in this case of the technological gap within the United States. And then you can also just either click on the dashboard itself, or you can click on Explore Data and you will be able to see the dashboard essentially. So I'll go ahead and just click into a dashboard that pertains to prison gerrymandering from a group of ours called Civilytics, or partner of ours called Civilytics. And essentially what you'll see on every page on the hub where a dashboard populates is something along the lines of this. All these dashboards are created in Tableau Public, so you also have the opportunity to come down here and click here to go into Tableau Public to see the dashboard. But this is a dashboard that our partners created in collaboration together. You will have, what we try to do with the hub is make sure that these dashboards can serve as a standalone tool with enough narrative and context to help anybody, regardless of your expertise on the data, on the issue of prison gerrymandering in this case, or on Tableau, whatever it may be. We want to make sure that you have enough information to come in here and be able to pull key takeaways, things you should be aware of, and even potentially like resources that where you can further your knowledge of a specific area. So what you can do here is you have like an overview page, and you'll have different tabs in this specific dashboard that will kind of break down how prison gerrymandering is negatively impacting political representation at the end of the day, and disproportionately impacting representation for communities of color. The one I'll probably go to give you the best idea of what we try to go for is if I click to pick your state. This allows for a more granular view, and one of the things we'll try and do with all the dashboards that and projects we collaborate on is create a form of an analysis that starts maybe at a higher level, starts at the national level, but then also will come down and allow you to drill down into whether it's the county level, hopefully the census tract level. That's a harder process, but we are attempting to get there for the most part, and really just see at a localized level, like how an issue is impacting your community, or how solutions potentially should be targeted to combat a specific issue. So in this case, you can see like some states, obviously like California, for instance, my home state has eradicated prison gerrymandering, so I could not filter to California because there's nothing to do there. But if I was to go to, let's pick New Mexico. You'll see the filterization feature of Tableau kind of filters specifically to districts in New Mexico where prisons are present and kind of see how the percentage of the populations of those incarcerated measure up, and you'll get more statistics on how different racial demographic groups are being disproportionately affected. And what you can do here for this specific dashboard, that's not the case for all dashboards, is you can, in this case, this dashboard's focused on the Black community and the Hispanic community, so you can filter between the effects for both of those demographic groups. The last thing, I don't want to go into spend too much time going on into specific dashboards, but the last thing I want to call out that you'll also see on every page on the Data Hub is what we call our context guidelines. And this is what is helpful for, again, we want this in the dashboard itself so they can be a standalone asset. But we, as the Hub team, we want to make sure that we provide high-level insights so people can just get information at a readily pace and not have to spend too much time trying to figure out how to make the dashboard work for them, how to, you know, become data equipped essentially. And instead, if they just want to pull information, we want to give them that easy access as well too. So you have context around the data, the history of it, context around the visualization, some implications. And then even below that, you have deep dives where we and our team and the expert who worked on this dashboard will kind of come together and say, what are the 3 most important things that you need to pull from this analysis at the end of the day? And this will be emulated across all dashboards in whatever form that you see on the Hub. So if I was to click into this dashboard or anything else, you would see the same kind of format take place. So moving forward, this here is a tab where you can click, and I'll just briefly go in here and you can see all, this actually needs to be updated, but you can see most of currently all the dashboards that we have been working with and gone live with the Data Hub, kind of again, and assets in general, following that same format that I mentioned before as well. So what you wouldn't see in the featured content page, you can always come and see directly under as well. I'll call out just this core areas of focus page. So this is how we will bucket some of the work that we do. Again, this emulates that of the Racial Justice Data Initiative as well in terms of the pillars or categories in this case, but you're able to go and click in and you'll see kind of how we're defining what the role of data is in building economic power at its inception. And then also you'll be able to see the different examples of dashboards that we've featured that potentially have alignment with the issue at play. And you can filter to the different pages by clicking here as well. The last thing I'll call out on these specific core areas of focus pages is you have opportunities to come down and click into different data sources from a bunch of organizations, a bunch of publicly accessible data. And this is a further out feature we're going to want to do. But all of these data sources, some are super functionable, some are more user-friendly than others, some are more accessible than others. We are going to, over the course of time, spend a lot of time trying to take these prominently used data sources and whether there's a visualization built around them or not, take them, restructure them and put them in the format where they are most user-friendly and actionable in Tableau specifically, just so like, you know, the entry point is easier for more people and analysis can be done in different ways that currently might be difficult with some of these data sources I'll call out, especially if you're looking at different areas of focus that we're within.
With the releases, I was just curious about what kind of conversations or, you know, kind of rules of thumb did you all come up with to combat that, you know, weaponization issue, you know, just in these examples or in the data set? Can you share what were some of the main things that kept coming up that like, yeah, we're going to want to make sure that we stay away from that?
No, that's a really good question. This actually is a great segue into this segment of the Data Hub.
On me.
Yes, so that's probably, I think when we decided to actually do the Data Hub and go live with it and make this platform, that was probably one of the initial things we discussed. And then I think it was a pretty quick decision in terms of realizing how severe the potential is in terms of including data sets or including visualizations that potentially could weaponize the data. Like that was something that we established as well, like the potential here is great in both a negative and positive way. We need to be careful in order to protect the people who are made vulnerable in the data and in access to the data. So when we're talking about a data source or we're talking about a dashboard, we, as the Data Hub team, have instilled, we already had a vetting process that was pretty extensive at the beginning stages, but has even grown in terms of the people we bring into play, the advisors we enlist to look at everything that we're potentially going to make external and public facing. We have enlisted Tableau ambassadors who are just what we call, they're Tableau experts essentially. So they really focus on the final visualization side to make sure that the way communities are being visualized, the way demographic groups are being indicated by color or by shape or by size is done appropriately, essentially, and is done in a way where communities will feel respected and feel included in the type of analysis that is potentially going to be taken from whatever we're visualizing. The data itself is a much harder thing to make sure is de-weaponized. And that, like, we have a great platform within Tableau software called Tableau Public. And essentially what Tableau Public is just a gallery of anybody who has Tableau and wants to create visualizations can create visualizations that pertain to any topic. So when we decided to come out with the Data Hub, we initially thought, wow, we can surf through Tableau Public and pull from all these different people and individuals and organizations who have created visualizations that have some alignment with race, equity, justice, inclusiveness, whatever it may be. Like we can pull from a lot of these visualizations. And what we quickly, like I'm talking about in the matter of 10 minutes, like what we quickly realized in the matter of those 10 minutes was there's so many well-intentioned people. There's so many, like I said before, people who want to be involved in helping collaborate, helping organizations use data, helping visualize these issues, but they haven't vetted the data appropriately. They haven't even brought in the data into Tableau in a way that is representing the people within that data in the appropriate way or the correct way. And what that ultimately can end up doing is just, bringing more harm or perpetuating a false narrative. And no matter how big or how small that false narrative is, these injustices have been going on for centuries, some of them. So it's just like, if we're perpetuating a false narrative that even is what you would consider something on the small scale, I don't even have an example of what that would be, because I think everything is relatively at a high level of scale at this point. But that potentially just continues to perpetuate what has been going on for centuries. And that is potentially not getting people in communities or not getting individuals in communities the support that they need or the solutions that the people that surround them need as well. So if we can do our best to avoid making those mistakes and in a way weaponizing that data, whether intentionally or not intentionally, then that's something that we need to prioritize. And we came to the decision pretty quick that we have to be extremely thorough in how we go public with some of these dashboards, but we also just have to be kind of exclusive in how we take on certain projects and whatnot. And so last thing before I pass it back to you, I know I feel like I'm rambling at times, so stop me whenever you feel. But the last thing that I'll say that pertains to that is the slide that you see right now currently on the Data Hub is a slide completely dedicated to this project called the Do No Harm Guide. And what the Do No Harm Guide is a extensive guidebook. It was a project that we did through the foundation, actually, with Urban Institute. And the Do No Harm Guide is about a 50-page, maybe 40-page guidebook, essentially, that will break down the ways in which people who are using data or anybody in the data community need to think about not only visualizing data, but the entire process from when you collect that data to when you go out with your visualization. How can you do that in a way that is both is inclusive, is diverse, and is equitable at the end of the day? And that can come in a number of matters. So what we at the Data Hub, on the Data Hub team, and what we do on the foundation is we use this guidebook just as much as we encourage organizations to use this, because if we publish something that is not in line with some of these principles and we're not taking real care in terms of monitoring how people are being represented and made vulnerable in the data, then we're not doing what we need to be doing as kind of like the data analytics experts in this case. And so this page, I'll just scroll down really quick, is you have videos that break down the principles at a high level, so it's easy to access the information. This is just a quick snapshot of some folks who contributed to the review of the guide. You can click on this to go download the guide in full on Urban Institute's website. You have an interview with the authors of the guide here, led by Tableau's head of inclusive marketing as well. So it's a pretty cool conversation about how the guide developed, why it's important, how they contributed voices and actually pulled together all the information in the document. And then finally, one thing that I'm actually included on as well is an episode from Tableau's If Data Could Talk, where it's just breaking down again with the authors how they thought about creating the guide, examples of how the guide should be used, and examples for how it can impact the use of data in a more equitable sense. And that whole process of building out the Do No Harm guide was really amazing to see, because I've learned so much over the course of this past year and some change, both in the space of, racial equity work, but also in how data is a transformative piece of that work, essentially. And so when we're talking about all the voices that need to be included, the community engagement, the building of these visualizations, like everything it needs to be just held at a higher standard. And we need to keep building up that standard in order to make sure that it's done as effectively and as impactfully as possible. And so bringing in those experts like Heather and all the other folks that weighed into the creation of the Do No Harm guide just made it what it is today. And that guide is still evolving. They're going to be opening up and broadening out to more topics, to more kind of subsequent areas of focus, like accessibility as well. At the end of the day. So like that's an ever-changing asset as well as this whole data hub is. So there's more to come on that front too, which is really exciting. Trying to think, I think that might be the last final call out that I'll make is we also do a couple partner spotlights on the hub as well. And this will continue to grow. You can look through these partner highlights. They have their own data resources and galleries and enablement tools that would be beneficial to sift through. So that's kind of the final thing that